those exclusive new details about Bill Cosby's sex assault mistrial. A juror speaking only to ABC, taking us inside those 52 hours of deliberation. This is a stunning account, and revealing why the 12 jurors were ultimately unable to come to an agreement. ABC's Lindsay Davis has the story.
From crying outbursts to intense arguments to a possible hand injury after one juror punched a wall, the 52 hours of deliberations inside a tiny room not large enough to even pace took a toll on the jurors in Bill Cosby's sexual assault trial, according to a juror in an exclusive interview with ABC News who describes the experience as grueling and emotional. The juror, who agreed to speak to us on the condition of anonymity, said 2 jurors prevented a guilty verdict. 10 of the 12 jurors agreed Cosby was guilty of 2 of the 3 counts against him, having a sexual encounter with accuser Andrea Constan without her consent, and giving Constan drugs without her knowledge to prevent her from resisting. But the juror also told us they were near acquittal on one count, that Constan was unconscious during the event. The vote, 11-1. When they first entered the room and took a non-binding preliminary poll, the jurors overwhelmingly said they thought Cosby was not guilty on all 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. The juror says the holdouts against finding the 79-year-old entertainer guilty were not moving no matter what. Constan says Cosby drugged and sexually assaulted her at his home in 2004. He says the encounter was consensual. Although only one other accuser was allowed to testify at trial, more than 50 other women have come forward with similar accusations. Cosby has also denied those allegations. ABC News reached out to several other jurors who declined to comment. But the juror we spoke to tells us despite the fiery exchanges and intense pressure, the group of 7 men and 5 women are now friendly and keeping in touch by phone and text. Lindsay Davis, ABC News, New York.
This is really fascinating. Let's bring in ABC's chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Dan, always great to have you on this. But this notion that the jurors would enter that room, a non-binding vote, all of them saying not guilty, and then over the course of 6 days, 10 out of the 12 would decide guilty on 2 counts.
Yeah, look, it's very typical for jurors to take a straw vote when they come in and say, you know, where does everyone stand? And everyone sort of raises their hands. That's part of the deliberation process, right? That's not a binding verdict. That's not a ruling. That doesn't happen until the verdict form goes in. But what's astonishing here is that you had all of them saying not guilty, and then as the deliberation process went on, 10-2, I mean, this is out of a movie. Right, this is like, you know, 12 Angry Men the other way. It's just, I've never heard of something like this, where 10 of the 12 jurors apparently changed their minds to the point from where they were ready to acquit, prepared to convict by the end.
Lindsay was reporting there. It was a tiny room, not even room to pace, this juror apparently said, but fists into walls. I mean, this could come up again.
Well, look, I think that you can expect the defense to file a motion and say, look, they were ready to acquit. If the room hadn't been so terrible and the situation hadn't been so bad, Bill Cosby would have been acquitted, and therefore there should be no retrial. They're not going to win on that motion. They'll likely make it, but that's not the sort of motion you win on. To win on something like that, you have to really show juror misconduct. And even when you show juror misconduct, typically what you get is a new trial. And Bill Cosby's getting a new trial anyway. So really interesting, though, this reporting on this.
A peek inside that juror room. All right, Dan Abrams, always great to have you here. Thanks, Dan.